Hey, what's up everyone, this is Ants Portugal here, and today I'm going to be doing a little bit of an update video because of two things. First of all, some of my ant colonies have grown substantially or have gone through noticeable changes which are update worthy. Another thing is I actually got 4 new colonies. Yeah, it was 4 I think, and they're all doing fine. I'm going to show you how they are and the troubles and tribulations of receiving ants in a country that is very bad at shipping stuff in. Alright, also another thing that is worthy of note is that I got an actual macro lens, not for a camera but for my phone. What this will do is that the pictures should have a much higher quality when I am doing close-ups, and I hope you like that. It's not a big whoa, just it's not a very noticeable improvement. Well, it is noticeable if you take into consideration the quality of the other pics I took with my phone. Now this time it's much better, and I hope you enjoy what you see today. So let's get right into it. The first colony we're going to talk about is the biggest colony that I got. I got these four species about a week ago, so I've got pictures of them then and of them now. This here is a Aphenogaster beccari colony. Now they were housed in a little test tube with scale marks on it, so into there I couldn't take any pics, but I connected it to the tubes and to their setup, and they moved into the tube, so there I could take some pics. You can see the ants very badly because they're in the tube, and you can see somewhat of it there. Now today they're much easier to film, you'll see. Now next colony is a very interesting one because it's one I have never ever kept anything of that genus. I've kept a similar genus, but not that one. And it's also the first stinging ant species in my sort of new collection. If you watch my first episode on my ant collection, you'll know why this is a new collection, and this is the first stinging ant I'm adding to it. Now, I normally don't keep a lot of stinging ants. I kept some, and I've never been stung by any. But I don't really like the fact that they could seriously hurt me if I ever did anything wrong with them while moving them and such. And these ones are actually very, very dangerous. They are this Odontomachus monticola. Now, these guys, they're supposedly very bad travelers, right? So I have 5 alive in the time of the pics, and they were supposed to be 7. 2 of them were DOA, and one of them died within this week. That's the time gap between these photos and the ones from the second part of the video. Now, these guys, they are just a blast to watch. They are good huntresses, and they are just an awesome ant species, which I'll probably do an ant species guide on later in the future, and then I'll actually show you some footage of my own. I want this colony to grow a bit before doing that. Now, this species I have never owned. I have owned Anochetus, but this is supposedly very different, and they're just giants in comparison. So I'll see where this goes. All right. Now, this right here is one of my Messer colonies, and it's just grown a lot. So I took some pictures to see how the camera captured them. You can probably tell a very big difference in the quality here in my last video because these ants are very standard. So it's easy to check for quality in these pics. Alright, now, one very big update. My Pristomyrmex pungens, which last time you saw them, they were very new on my collection and they had no brood at all. Now they have a ginormous pile of eggs and larvae And this picture is from a week ago as well. Since then, there's been no further development, just more eggs and some eggs turning into larvae. I have not seen any pupae yet, I think. And they're doing just great. They have been eating fiercely. They have been drinking honey water and protein shake fiercely. And they are doing just fine. They actually do not prefer the more humid side of the nest. I have no idea why. But they like it, and I think the humidity is actually pretty homogeneous throughout the nest. So they're doing just fine. They're thriving, and they'll be a great colony to record in the future, I hope. Now, moving on, I got two small, and one could consider them boring species of ants. But I want to do sort of a little gimmicky thing, which is to compare two ants that are almost the same from the same genus, except one is yellow, the other one is black, and they're of course different species. What I'm talking about is Elaeus niger and Elaeus flavus. Initially, I wanted to do something similar with Camponotus tuxtanus and get the brown variant and the yellow variant, but technically, I've kept the yellow variant, by the way. Technically, they're the same species. They're not even different subspecies, I think, or are they? I think they're not, and therefore they should be just the same but different colors, like some breeds of dog, which first of all are always dogs, and then they're just different colors. That would be interesting, but there's two problems about that. Is that they need a rather dry space, and they grow very, very slowly. That would be a nice colony to have in your desktop or something if you live in a hot place, because they're very big and whatever. I'll do an ant care species guide on them as well, because I've kept them in the past. Now, Elaeus flavus and Elaeus niger, these guys are basically the same. I've kept them both, but I've always kept them in a way where I couldn't really compare them, because they were in different stages of development and they were in different setups. Now, what I plan to do with these guys is have them in basically the same grade of development, and always have them in the same type of setup, and see what they do with everything I provide, and do a lot of testing. I'll do a lot of interactive testing with these colonies. So I got a queen of each with brood. Now, to update you to nowadays happenings, I should start. Oh wait. Actually, no. Let's just give a quick hi to my chromatic acid species. My chromatic acid species something. I don't know the species exactly, but these guys are doing really fine, and they're growing a lot. So that's worthy of an update. Now, fast forward to exactly the day I'm recording this audio, and this is the Aphanogaster beccari setup. As you can see, the test tube is no longer connected to the outworld, and the ants live now inside of this nest. Now, this setup is built by a Portuguese man, and he is the first one in Portugal to ever do a company revolving around ant keeping. So I met him at a pet expo, and his company and some of his friends who were helping him show off his work, and I bought a setup to support him, and my Aphanogaster beccari are living in here now, because the setup has its flaws and has has a lot of great stuff about it. And one of its flaws is being made of acrylic, and that's basically it. It's not a flaw, actually, because if you think about it, there's a little way around it, when it comes to acrylic and ants. And the only thing I'd see here is This setup is very adequate to big species, well, big to medium, and especially species that don't revolve a lot around watery foods, because if you have a species that revolves around watery foods and they live in an acrylic nest, their poop will be very liquid and it will get in the cracks of the acrylic and it will get the whole nest very dirty very fast. So Aphanegaster are almost strictly carnivores, so they'll do great. I would recommend this to Messer, and the guy actually sells this along with a free Messer Queen, so I find it great, and I find what he is doing and his work to be excellent and great to the community here in Portugal. So thank you, your products are awesome, and I'm loving how the ants do inside of this. Now, getting inside, you can see all the ants near the sponge that is there to provide humidity. They have started to move some soil in and to occupy other chambers, but this is the bulk of the colony, and the brood is located underneath a mass of ants, so you can't really tell that it is there. They actually had one alate, and it's sort of normal for Aphanegaster to have these alates, and I'll go over that if I ever do an ant care species guides, because that's a little bit more profound into their care. Now, the Odontomachus monticola, they have lost the workers I've mentioned, and another noticeable thing is that they had no brood, right? When they arrived, they had no brood, and Odontomachus monticola are noticeable bad travelers, so it was alright for them to have no brood, it was normal. But now they have laid 2 little eggs that you can see right there. That's very cool, and they're doing just fine. They've been eating a lot, and I just love to watch them hunt, and love to watch them in general, because they're big ants with a lot of attitude. Now, they can't really climb the acrylic outside, so I'm more safe. I'm feeling more safe about them now. You know, I was very afraid of how they stung and had that huge bite force, but I'll get used to them, as I always get used to stinging ants after a while and working around them. But these guys are really cool, and I'm just sorry that worker died after only a couple days of being here. So I guess it's just another of the importing hazards, right? That dying worker. If any other worker dies from here on out, I'll basically be considering it, even if it isn't, I'll be considering it a mistake on my part. But this guy, it's due to transport, I believe. Now, Lasius flavus, the brood has just developed a lot, and the larvae have turned into pupae, almost everything, and some eggs have turned into larvae. So everything has run its course a little, but with Lasius niger, it's different. She had 2 workers last night. So she has a bigger pile of broods than Lasius flavus, and she already has 2 workers that are hardening and getting ready to aid the queen in her quest to the greatest Lasius niger colony ever. Right, so moving on to the last ant species I'll update you on. This, if you remember, is the test tube setups that are inside of my Portugal dives, sort of naturalistic-ish setup. And as you can see, they're almost empty. And when I saw this, I froze, because I have had Portugal dives escaping from my setups before, and I took a lot of prevention to not have this happening this time. But I just froze, and as you know, this if you watched the other video, you know that this colony has 3 queens but had no brood. Now, the last time I saw them in the test tube, they had a healthy pile of eggs and larvae. So they actually started constructing on the smaller test tube a little door with larvae silk, but now they've moved out. And where are they? They're in the corner, and they have dug their nest, right? I would like to see them building structure from there with the larvae silk and having them building something. But it's really cool to actually just see this, because they've chosen that little corner there, and what they do is they have this sort of dome that's sort of like an entrance hall where every worker just stays there while the next chambers are being constructed, right? So if you see there, I've tried to take some pictures more into the inside, focused on the inside ends. They have this hole, and then they have at least one other chamber deeper into the coconut husk, because that's what I use for the substrate. The queens are all inside, and so is the brood, but these workers are stationed here, and I do believe they'll be moving them all inside once they can, because I've seen this hole turn bigger and bigger every day. They just moved in today. That's the big thing that shocked me when I took the pics. So they're moving into their own home, and that's always a very good sign when you have ants. So they'll be doing fine, and they'll be a great ants colony, as my former Polyrhachis dives had been, because I love this species a lot, and I love Polyrhachis in general. So this is basically it that I have to update you on, and I hope you liked it. I hope you enjoyed seeing the growth of our, I could call it our ants collection. And if you have any suggestions or questions about my setups and the way I keep my ants, please leave them in the comments down below. Share this video and share my channel with everyone. Leave a like if you liked it, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye. Also, if you're still there, I'd like to know if you'd like to see other videos, because I have some other pets that are not ants, right? And I love almost every animal, and I have a really deep passion for animals in general. So I try to keep a lot of them as much as I can manage, and I'd love to do some videos on them if you want me to. Leave your thoughts about this in the comments down below. I'll do it anyways, really, because I love them, the animals, and yeah, I like to share them as well. Although I like ants because they're a little bit of an underdog in the pets community. See ya. Bye bye. See you next time.